All right, guys, my name is JP Howard. I'm the West Central Kentucky Outreach Counselor for KHEAA, which stands for Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority. So basically what I'm here to do today is give you a walkthrough of the FAFSA. A few of y'all, raise your hand, but some of y'all were coming in. How many of y'all have created a FAFSA ID already? Raise your hand super high. All right, cool. How many of y'all don't know what I'm talking about or have not created it at all? Okay, raise your hand. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do before I get into this presentation is I'm going to show you how to access that, okay? So you're going to go to FAFSA.gov. So everybody type notes in your phone, do whatever, because this is vital information that is very important because the FAFSA opens tomorrow. Whether you want to go to a trade school or a four-year university, you're going to have to fill this out, okay? So what you need to do is once you get to that website, you need to go to Start Here. And this is the same information for your parent and you if you're creating a FAFSA account. So it can get confusing, but you will both go to I'm a student wanting to access the FAFSA form. You scroll below and you see this little Create FAFSA ID. You go to Exit FAFSA form, and then you'll get started. So it's just going to ask basic information like your address, your social, your phone number. You'll create a username and things like that. So when you do create your username and password, make sure you remember that because you will use that every single year that you're in college. Does that make sense? All right. So once you have created your FAFSA ID, you will sign on to the FAFSA form, okay? So this is what will look like when you're logging into the FAFSA form. And this, for my purposes, I'm just using a demo, so I'm using a demo account. All right, cool. So when you get your login information on there, what you'll do is you'll just press Accept. And then you'll see 23, 24 FAFSA form. Do not fill out the 22, 23. That was last year's. But the 23, 24 will be on here somewhere. And then you'll go to Start a new FAFSA form. So when you do get on your FAFSA account, the number one thing it's going to ask you to do is create a PIN number. Everybody just choose something like a 4-digit number. I usually always choose 1, 2, 3, 4. It's something that you have to use every time you access your account, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll create it. So you'll notice when you get onto your first page, everything that you typed into your information for the FAFSA ID will be on here on this first page. So for instance, your social will be automatically typed in there, your first name, your middle initial if you wanted to put a middle initial on there, and your last name, and also your birthday, okay? So everything's on there. Just make sure it's correct. You can easily edit that. So the next page will also have your email on there that you put down as your FAFSA ID, and then you'll need to type in your telephone number or your cell phone number because that is an easy way for retrieval, okay? So if you get locked out of your account or you forget your password, just put forget password, and it'll text you a verification code to get it in there. So we're going to do 270-555-2121. It's probably not even a phone number, but you know it is what it is. All right, so it should have your address on here as well. All right, so your purposes will already have Kentucky on here, but since it doesn't have Kentucky already, I'm going to go ahead and put Kentucky. Once you get on there, you'll see, have you lived in, the first question is have you lived in Kentucky for the past 5 years? Most people, yes. If no, then you'll put no. And are you a U.S. citizen? And this, for just the demo purposes, I'm going to put yes. All right, and then for your student education, the first question will be, what will your high school completion status be when you begin in college of 2023-2024? It will be high school diploma because you'll graduate, okay? So the first one's always going to be high school diploma. So the second question is, what college degree or certificate will you be pursuing when you begin the 23-24? Do not, if you're planning to get like a master's or anything like that, do not put first year graduate school, okay? That is what you're going into next. If you are dead set on you're just going to get an associate's degree, whatever, then put associate's degree. But if you're planning on going forward in that and like getting a bachelor's degree, whether you're going to start at ECTC and transfer your credits, always put first bachelor's degree because you're more than likely going to get more aid, okay? And then the second question, will you have a first bachelor's degree before you begin 2023-24? That answer is obviously no. And what will your college grade level be when you begin 23-24? So you've never attended college. Even if you have dual credit, you've never attended college, okay? So a lot of you might have some dual credit classes. You might have some credits going in. You will always put never attended college first year until the next year, okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Thumbs up if you understand. All right, cool. And then are you interested for work study? Whether you think you're going to get work study or not, which is qualified, always put yes, okay? Because that's a part of financial aid as well. So basically what work study is that you go to a college, you work for them, you can work in the library, you can work in a wellness center and just sit there and do nothing but study and get paid for it, okay? That's one thing I did. So it goes towards your tuition, so that's really good as well. So always put yes. So for your driver's license number, just skip over that page. It's optional, just don't do it. All right, so this next question is, are you a foster youth or were you in foster care system at any time? So that's either where you would put yes or no, and then it'll take you to another page. So this really depends on, if you put yes, you become an independent student. If you put no, you're a dependent. So in my case right now, just for demo purposes, I'm going to put no. And then when you the next question will be, what what is the highest school completed by parent one? So you have a list of things of like middle school, junior high, high school, college, and beyond. I will say here that if you know if your parents went to college but they did not graduate, do not count it as college or beyond. It's a high school diploma because they did not graduate, okay? So in this case, I'm just going to put high school for both. Alrighty, so when you get to this page, this will be where you will add your high school, okay? So I'm just going to pick a random high school in the state of Kentucky, probably the one I graduated from. So Kentucky, and then you'll type in the high school name. So I graduated from Ohio County High School. So this is where you will put yours. And it will automatically pop up to where you can just select it and continue, okay? And then you'll press continue just to confirm that's the one that you went to. Next option is the college search option. So you're allowed to put up to 10 schools on here. So basically what that means is you pick 10 schools, and then once you complete your FAFSA, they will send like a summary of the FAFSA report, like what you're eligible for, what you're not eligible for, to the school in order for them to fill out your financial aid, okay? So in this case, I'm just going to pick 2 schools. So let's do University of Louisville, go Cards. And you'll see right here, so you'll select it, and then you'll scroll back up, and we'll do Campbellsville University because that's where I graduated from. Again, you can pick any school in any state, but always, even if you think that you're going to go out of state, always put at least 2 in-state schools on there, okay? So once you press the continue button at the bottom, you'll see that there are 2 options on here for your housing plan. So what I like to say is, even if you think that you're going to live off campus or something like that your freshman year, always put on campus, because that gives like the financial aid an idea of how much aid you're going to need. So for instance, if this isn't like you're 100% set on living on campus or 100% set on living off campus, but this does give them an idea, so you can see how much it would cost to live on campus, and then if you took that off, how much it would cost to live off campus. Does that make sense? So for both, I'm just going to put on campus. And again, you can add up to 10 schools as well. So I'm just adding up to 2 schools right now. So student marital status, so that would be the student. Unless you're married, you're going to be single. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, it doesn't matter. You're still single until you're married, okay? Even if you think you're going to get married or you're engaged or whatever, you're still single until you say I do. So the next one will be, this one's still about the students. So this first question, it says, do you now or will you have children who will receive? So do you have kids is basically what it's saying, okay? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? So you either put yes or no. I'm going to put no. Do you have dependents other than your children or spouse who live with you? So that more than likely that's going to be no as well, unless you like took in your sister's or sister or brother's kid at your age. So here's some additional questions it's going to ask as well. That can these questions are basically asking, are you qualified to be an independent student? Okay, so are you currently serving on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces for purposes other than training? So have you enlisted? Have you done all that stuff? Press yes or no. Are you a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces? At any time since you turned 13, were both of your parents deceased, or were you in foster care, or were you a dependent of a ward of the court? The next one is, as determined by the court in your state of legal residence, are you or were you emancipated? So basically, if you don't know what emancipated is, that basically means you ain't emancipated, okay? So, and then the last one, does someone other than you or your parent or step-parent have legal guardianship of you determined by the court of your legal residence? So that's where it gets really confusing. So custody and guardianship are 2 different things, okay? So for instance, it has to be by the court saying guardianship over you. So a lot of the times you see that with if one of your parents is deceased or say one of them's deceased and the other one's incarcerated. So most of the time you'll see it in that to where, okay, somebody else has guardianship of you, okay? Otherwise, you'll have to claim your parents. So none of the above is what I'm going to put. So student homelessness, so this just basically means, are you at risk of being homeless? So that could mean like, are you crashing on a buddy's couch every single night because you don't have a home? In this case, it's going to be no. If you put yes, you will get 100% get a verification on that, meaning that the government will want documentation on proof that you are at risk of homelessness. So this is just meaning, this is just basically saying like, okay, you answered all the questions, none of the above, so more than likely you're going to be a dependent student. However, there are, if you click I'm unable to provide parent information, so it's asking will you provide or I'm unable to provide. If you put I am unable to provide, you'll automatically go to another page, which will say, what's not on here, but on the real FAFSA, what it'll say is, so it'll list some other things like reasons why you can't be a dependent student. So if you think that independent student. So if you're thinking like, hey, I'm independent, look at that. Most of the time, if you don't qualify for anything on that first page, what you're going to qualify for is loans. That's it. If you don't do parent information, okay? So for our cause, we're going to put, I will provide information about my parents. So this is just like a basic screen. Most people don't look at it, but it will, if you put the drop down button, it will explain more into detail, like my parents live together, married or unmarried, and then it just explains what that means. Like legally adopted, you will report information about the person who you adopted, things like that. So we're just going to continue to the next page. So this will ask about your parent marital status, okay? So when I do the drop down button, it will have a list of things. The first one is never married, unmarried, and both parents are still living together, married or remarried, divorced or separated, or widowed, okay? So in my case, right now, what I'm doing, I'm just going to do married or remarried. But I will say if you do divorced and separated, it will ask the parents for their divorce date, okay? I don't know why. A lot of people don't know their divorce date, but it will ask for that, okay? So that's just a heads up on that. But right now we're going to put married or remarried. And also, if your parent is remarried, you will have to claim your step-parent on there too, as on your FAFSA. So when did your parents get married or remarried? I'm just going to come up with a random date. There we go. So next it's going to ask for your parent's social security number. So also when your parent creates their FAFSA account, everything will be transferred on there just like you, because you can sign into that, okay? As of right now, I'm just going to make up one. There we go. So your parent's last name, I forgot the last name on this, but I think it was last name or something. So your parent's first initial, I'm just going to put D. And your parent's birthday, there we go. And then when it comes to your parent email address, make sure that that parent email address is correct and on there, because your parents will also be getting information about your student aid report, okay? So let's put Debbie last name at gmail.com. And then you'll re-enter it at the bottom. All right, so on the next page, this is where you will also fill out your other parents' information. So they're still married, last name. All right. So, and then this will ask, the next question will ask, have your parents lived in the state of Kentucky for the past 5 years? You will say yes or no. In this case, I'm putting yes. So this next question could get a little tricky because it's asking for your parents' dependents, okay? This is not counting you, and you'll see at the top where it says do not include yourself as the student, okay? So for instance, we're just going to say you got two brothers or two sisters or something. You'll click 2 there. And then this next question is, has your parents taken in anybody? So will they be living with your parents in the 2023-2024 school year? Okay, so that's when you'll add somebody. So I'll put 1, just show y'all. And so the next page, there should be 6 people in your household. So it'll be your mom, your dad, you, 2 brothers, and 1 other person. And it breaks it down. The next question will ask how many kids of your parents are going to be attending college. In the this next school year, I'm going to put 0. Unless you have a brother or sister, then you'll put 1. If they're in college, you can't put 1, so you count yourself, sorry. I mean, you can't put 0, you have to count yourself. So that one you do count yourself, so that one's 1. So on this next question, it will ask for 2021, because 2021, that's the ones that we're using the tax forms for. We're not using 2020, we're not using 2022, we're using 2021. Will your parents have they or will they file their taxes? So most of you, or your parents, probably have. So you'll put already completed. And then 99.99% of the time it's going to be an IRS 1040. Okay. And then we'll just do married filed joint. So at the bottom, this is something that's really cool that they created in the past few years, is that it's still good to have your tax forms on you, your parents' tax forms on you. However, they can sign on to the IRS account, type in their address, make sure it's correct, make sure on their tax forms it is correct, because if an accountant types one thing wrong, then it won't do it. But they can type in their address, their social, and their name, and all their information will be transferred onto the IRS account, and it makes it super easy, okay? So, I mean, after that point, it could last like 5 more minutes of the FAFSA. But for my purposes, I'm just going to go super fast and do it manually, okay? Complete manually. No thanks, because it won't let me. All right. So the first question will be asked, what was your parents' adjusted gross income for 2021? Let's just put 40,000. So the only time that you'll have to type this in manually is if the IRS does not transfer your stuff. So another cool thing about this is if you do have to type things in manually, it does give you sort of like, hey, this is where you'll find it at the bottom. So how much did your parent 1 make? 40,000. So we'll do 40,001 because it gets suspicious if it's the same number. So there we go. So it says you indicated that your parents filed the IRS Form 1040. Did your parents file Schedule 1? Select no if your parents did not file Schedule 1 or file only a Schedule 1 report. So that's basically unemployment, whatever. If you don't know, just press I don't know. As of today, are either of your parents dislocated worker? Let's just put no on this one, so it won't ask that question. It'd be like that. So the next question is enter the amount of your parents' tax income for 2021. So combined together it'd be 80,000. So combat pay, this should be 0 for enlisted persons and warrant officers. So a lot of this information will be transferred onto your account. If you're not on there, if it's not on there, more than likely you don't have it. So tax exempt, all that stuff. So like I said, it will say tell you like which line to look from and things like that as well. Is everybody staying with me? Everybody know what I'm talking about? All right. So the next question will be, this will not be on your, this will not be transferred from the IRS, but child support. Has your parent paid any child support, or have they received any child support over the past year? Okay, so you'll type that in. Earnings from work under cooperative education program offered by college, or taxable earnings. So you basically type that information in as well. So the next page is the parent untaxed income. So that talks about child support again for the other parent, housing, food, and other living allowances, things like that. Payment to tax deferred pension or retirement savings plans. So I see this a lot in teachers. So a teacher will pay into like the retirement plan and things like that. So that's where you'll write that in. That will also not be transferred from the IRS, okay? So even if you transfer that stuff, that information will not be on there. You'll have to type that in manually. Veterans, non-education benefits such as disability. So for the last two, I just wouldn't put it on there. If you get disability, don't put it on there. Do you want to skip questions about your parents' assets? We'll say no right now. I'm not going to type anything in, then we'll press yes. And that's just because if you scroll down, it is going to ask for certain things like, as of today, what is your parents' current balance of cash and savings in their checking account? So for instance, it can be a sum. It doesn't have to be the exact number, an estimate, okay? So don't put like whatever in 3 cents. It won't even take cents, so just do a round number. As of today, what is the net worth of your parents' investments, including real estate, if you know that? And as of today, what is the net worth of your parents' current business and/or farms? Do not include family farms or business unless it's they have like over 100 employees, okay? So if your family has a small business, but they have more than 100 employees, then you'll have to put it on there, okay? So the next one will be asking about the student information. So if you worked last year in 2021, you'll have to put your stuff on there. If you didn't file taxes, you didn't make enough to file taxes, just put no. So for instance, we'll put not going to file for this. Let's just say this person did not fill out their tax or did not work that year, okay? So this is for the student. So it's going to ask for your parents' stuff, but then it's going to ask for the student as well. So how much did you earn from working? That would be $0 because this person did not work. Child support paid, more than likely, unless you have a kid, you're not going to be paying child support. Earnings from work under things, that one's going to be 0. All these are going to be 0, basically. I've never really seen any go above 0 on that page. Student and tax information, child support you received. Have you received any housing, food, other living allowances, things like that? Most of the time, all this is going to be 0 as well. If you find a question on there that you did pay or something like that, you can ask anybody who is at your FAFSA nights, or you can I'll give you my contact information at the end. You can call me or text me on that one. Do you want to skip questions about your assets? Yes. I've noticed. Okay, so if the FAFSA ever asks you, do you want to skip? Yes, because there's no point of putting no, because more than likely it's going to be all the same questions. Okay, so put yes. All right. So once you see that, you'll go to the next page. If you did anything wrong, it's going to let you know. However, this is a summary of the FAFSA, so this is what you'll see at the very end after you filled out every single thing on the FAFSA. So you should see your social security number, make sure that's correct. You'll see your name, your last name, your birthday, your email address, your phone number, make sure your address is correct on there, all that good stuff. And then when it comes to like high school, make sure that's right. If you did not answer any questions on, you can also see colleges you sent them to somewhere. Yep, right here. So you can also see the colleges that you sent them to. If you wanted to edit those, you can just go in there and click it and edit. And then you'll see your dependency status and all that other stuff on there. You'll see your parents, demographics, and things like that. So basically everything that you filled out, it should be on here, and it should be exactly what you put on there. Sometimes you might have made a mistake, press yes for some reason, but it's actually no. You can go in there, just click it. You can just click it, and then it's easy to edit, okay? Parent finances, all that good stuff. So let's go all the way down. All right, so the next page, what you will do is you will be prompted. Well, this is new, so it's going to ask your gender, it's going to ask your pronouns and things like that as well. This is just for the government. I don't know why. They just want one, or wanted to do things. All right, so then after that page, that's super easy. That doesn't affect you. That doesn't give you more money. It doesn't give you less money. It doesn't do anything. It's just the government wanting to do a survey for everybody. so they can get their statistics. So this page, what you will do is you will look at all this information. Most people don't read it, but you can read it if you want to, and you will sign it. Okay, so the student should be able to have a check mark on there to say sign. So you'll click sign. And then for parent signature, the parent will already have an option to sign in, so then they'll sign in, but you'll click here and you pick which parent wants to make the account. So both parents do not have to make the account, just one parent has to make the account, but it has to be both of their tax information, okay? So whichever one made the account, you just choose that, and then it's going to ask them, you're going to say I agree, and then more than likely it's going to ask them to sign in. Yep, so it's going to ask them to sign in. So that's a rundown of the FAFSA. Super easy, but it is very serious, because if you do one thing wrong on there, then you can be asked questions and you cannot get aid, okay? So make sure when you're filling this out that you have your parents with you, or and if they don't know, I can give you my contact information and y'all can put it in your phone. It's my work cell phone, so don't write me anything crazy, because I will show everybody at our staff meetings and we will laugh at you. So that's pretty much the FAFSA demo. So like I said, any questions? Yeah.
This goes to every high school or every college, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what college you go to in the state of Kentucky or out of the state, you have to fill out the FAFSA. It is by law. If you do not fill out the FAFSA, you better have $36,000 in hand to pay them. And that's just because without the FAFSA, you can't, you're not eligible for any scholarships. The school will not give you any scholarships until you fill out the FAFSA. So even if you think that you won't get anything on the FAFSA or anything like that, still fill it out. You never know, okay? It's also good for scholarships and KHEAA money. How many of y'all know what KHEAA money is? All right, cool. So I deal with KHEAA money. That's another thing. It's a law. If you do not fill out the FAFSA, you will not get your KHEAA money, okay? So it's really serious, but it does give you a lot of money, okay? Yeah.
So earlier how I said I wasn't planning on going like right after I got high school. So will I be able to get my KHEAA money later on?
So you're only eligible for KHEAA money 5 years after you graduate high school. So if you want to take a year off, that means you only have 4 more years. If you decide to go back 6 years later, you don't have KHEAA money. Does that make sense?
So you said I have to fill out that to get the KHEAA money. Is that
so this form is just like for any scholarship. If you want any scholarships, you're gonna have to fill out this form. So this form from the IRS and things like that, that's when it will be sent to your school and they can distribute your aid. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions that was confused?
On the parents that are separated or divorced, if their divorce isn't final yet, what do you do?
You still have to, you just put separated.
Okay, will it still want their income?
It will.
How do you,
So, it's the government. So, for instance, if you're separated, no. Is that your question? Like if you're living in 2 separate households, do you have, she'll claim you or whoever she lives with the most. More than 50% of the time, that's who you claim. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So if your parents are separated, whichever parent you live with 50% of the time, more than 50% of the time, that's the one that you're going to claim on the FAFSA. And that's all I have.